Good evening and welcome to the big story on NDTV Profit. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. Well, the hazardous air quality in Delhi and its satellite areas is taking a heavy toll on businesses as residents are forced to stay indoors to protect themselves. Bustling local markets, cafes and restaurants as well as shopping malls have seen a 20 to 30% decline in footfall. Now, to tackle the alarming situation, the Delhi government has put in place Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan that has impacted businesses. NDTV Profit Sessa Sain first joins us to take us through the impact that we have seen on local businesses in Delhi. Here's her report.
Extreme pollution in Delhi and surrounding regions is significantly affecting local businesses as residents prefer to stay indoors to avoid the hazardous air quality. Popular hangout spots in Delhi such as Khan Market, Chandni Chowk, Karol Bagh, Lajpat Nagar, Connaught Place, South Extension, Sadar Bazaar, Kamla Nagar and even Pitampura turned into virtual ghost towns over the weekend, with cafes, restaurants, shopping centers continuing to see 20 to 30% decline in footfall and sales as consumers prioritize their health and well-being over shopping and dining. Seasonal businesses, particularly those relying on weddings, are bracing for huge losses as the pollution curbs coincide with the peak sales period. Earlier this week, the Delhi government enforced Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan to tackle the alarming pollution situation. This included curbs on vehicular movement, limiting access to commercial areas directly impacting businesses. Additionally, operational hurdles have arisen due to the restriction on diesel vehicles, including trucks, leading to delays in the transportation of goods to the markets. Now, typically, the festive season leading up to Christmas and New Year bring crowds of shoppers eager to spend, but businesses are deeply concerned that the prolonged severity of the pollution will threaten crucial festive sales, especially following the previous challenges in recovering from the pandemic, followed by high inflation, which dampened discretionary spending in the first half of the year. After the implementation of the GRAP Stage 4 norms, pollution levels in Delhi dipped slightly, but they remain very poor. Businesses are hopeful that improved air quality will support a return to normalcy. However, for now, thick haze hangs over parts of North India, affecting both public health and the economy.
Well, in fact, now that brings us to the three big questions we are asking this evening. Question number one, how hard have businesses been hit by the air emergency? Question number two, is poor air quality adding to a dip in consumption? And finally, will this translate into a gain for quick and e-commerce? To shed a bit more light on this, we are now joined by Mr. S.P. Sharma. He's the Chief Economist at the PhD CCI. And also joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Zorawar Kalra. He's the founder and managing director of Massive Restaurants and the vice president of the NRAI. I think we've also got Mr. Brij Khosla, senior VP of the Khan Market Association. He'll be joining us soon as well. First, going across to to Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, Dr. S.P. Sharma, now the economic cost of pollution obviously is hitting North India. Give us a brief sense of how MSMEs have been hit by this persistent smog that we are seeing not just in Delhi, but also Haryana and Punjab.
Yes, because this northern region is majorly dominated by the MSMEs, and there are more than 3.4 million MSMEs in the region. So that's why the MSMEs are significantly impacted because they are facing the problems of the transportation, not only within the northern region, but also the connectivity with the other region also, like many transportation system like the trucks pass through Delhi also. So of this 3.4 million MSMEs, between 1 or 2 million MSMEs are severely impacted because they are facing severe problem of the shortages of the workforce in their respective premises because workers are not able to come to their work in the factories. If we go by the numbers of the GDP, three states like the Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi produce at around 30 lakh crore GDP in a year. So that is going to be impacted by this severe pollution problem because now there are many shutdowns and many factories are facing the acute problem of workers, and there are production cuts because the supervisors are not able to come to their work. So that's why the workers are also not able to produce more. So there is impact of 20 to 25% on the production capacities of the many factories, particularly in the NCR region. And MSMEs, if we go by the numbers of the MSMEs, there are more than 15 lakh MSMEs in Punjab, followed by around 10 lakh in Haryana, then 9 lakhs in Delhi. So total number of MSMEs is at around 34 lakh within the region. So the impact is severe, and I believe the impact may be at around 0.5% of combined GDP of three states, Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi, which becomes at around 15,000 crore to 20,000 crore. And that not only the economic cost, but also the health of the people is also severely impacted because the workers are not able to come to their premises. So this is going to hit hard, not only the economic cost, but also the other social and health cost of the people in northern region. So our industry bodies are severely uh, uh, observing the problem because this is not only for this year, but this is coming from the last many years. So there must be some solution of this problem to move forward and to become robust in the coming time, so that the pollution is not impacted the economically or socially within this region. So because this November month is always very very problematic in the whole year, which is not only for the current year but since the last many years.
I just wanted to ask a follow-up question, Dr. Sharma. Which are the particular sectors where you're seeing a dip? Obviously, transport will be one because there are a lot of curbs that have been put in place. And also, if you can elaborate a bit more on how supply chains have been hit.
Yes, because when the workers are not able to come to their premises, then the production is not happening. That's why the supply chains are also catered, and the transportation system is not able to reach the consumers to provide the food at their doorsteps or in the retail market. So that's why the supply chain is disrupted. Then the people are not able to sell their produced amount of their items. So that's why the inventories also go up and their working capital is also blocked. So this is also creating the financial problems for the MSMEs, though those who are already hit by the coronavirus during 21-22. Again, they are facing such kind of challenges every year. So this is disrupting their scenario of the growth scenario, because this comes every year at around October, November, December. So financial scenario is impacted, supply chain is impacted, and the production possibilities are also impacted. So that may cause a price escalations also in the many items, because when the shortages of items is faced, then the prices go up. So we have to control this uh, problem, because otherwise this will escalate the inflation trajectory also, which is already high since the last many quarters.
All right, Mr. Kalra, thank you very much for patiently waiting. Mr. Kalra, are you seeing a lesser footfall at restaurants? How has the past couple of weeks been? We've been hearing that things have been particularly bad on weekends because that is your core business time.
Hi, Nupur. Thanks for having me. It's a very, very big problem, and it seems like our industry just can't get a break. We had a fairly hectic October. There were many festivals. Festivals always have a downward and a pressure impact on the industry as a whole. We had Diwali parties, we had Navratra. In Navratra, North India is extremely, extremely hesitant to go out. So this whole downward pressure and downward trend of consumption has been continuing since October. And October was, in fact, on record, one of the worst months even for delivery. For some reason, I guess the delivery was impacted because of Diwali parties and various other reasons, including just a downward trend in consumption. And then we thought that, wow, this is November. And by the way, November and December constitute almost 25% of the total business of the year. So this is actually that time, which is the season time for us, where we actually get to do some good sales and improve our books. We thought it's going to be a clean month. Navratra and Diwali were over. Last year, Diwali was in November, so November was impacted. And then lo and behold, you suddenly have this huge pollution impact, which is just very, very detrimental for the business. And then you couple that with the weddings. I mean, you have like 45, 50,000 weddings planned in the next month and a half. And that's combined, these two are a double whammy for the industry, which is already beleaguered, the industry that is very badly hit. There are so many challenges. Consumption during the year itself has not been great. We were hoping for a bumper December last year. December was one of the best for the industry. We're hoping this pollution thing gets sorted, and then the propensity of weddings reduces, at least from a restaurant and cafe and mall restaurant perspective. But the business has been impacted very, very hard. And this is a very important industry. We're the second largest employer of human capital in India after agriculture. We contribute between 2 and 3% to the country's GDP. Dr. Sharma very rightly said 0.5% of these three states' GDP will be reduced. That's a big impact. And there's no respite really. You still have to pay the same tax, you still have to pay the same excise duty, you still have to pay the same rent, and you have to pay the salaries. So downward pressure on sales, extremely downward pressure on sales. Open air restaurants, some of mine are down as much as 35%, and the mall restaurants are down between 20 and 25%. So you're looking at literally the entire margin wiped out. And you have to understand, Nupur, our industry already runs on thin margins. And if we don't do well in these 2 months, the entire year's books are completely destroyed. And at this point in time, I'm really seeing no light at the end of the tunnel. This happens every year. We're hoping some kind of respite can be provided. I don't know how much the smoke can be controlled, but at least other additional benefits can be provided to the industry, relieving of excise license during this beleaguered time. Also, remember, construction is stopped. 2 of my restaurants are under construction. I've had to stop them entirely. That delays. I'm still paying rent for those. People are getting paid, and I can't bill anymore. I know health is absolutely paramount, and that's the key. For example, I stopped my own son from going out to the football pitch today because I didn't consider a 400 AQI safe for his consumption. I totally understand that. But some respite for an industry that is the second largest employer of humans is, I think, on the cards. And I think it's something that's very fair to us because we usually are
Absolutely.
not given any kind of support. And I mean, until when do we keep facing these pressures without, we need some support.
We completely understand the pain that you're going through, Zorawar. I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Let me go back to Dr. Sharma on this one. Dr. Sharma, are there concerns about the long-term economic impact of this? Because there will be startups, there will be multinationals, which would now be looking to invest in Delhi and the NCR region, but they are held a bit back because of this yearly problem which the government is unable to solve.
Yes, because if this problem is happening every year for 2-3 months, then that may impact the trajectory of investments also, because this also impact the price cost margins of the producers. So that's why they are not able to get the adequate margins of their investment. So that's why that investment scenario will also be impacted in the long term, because this becomes the problem of every year. Then the investors will also think about investing in such a scenario where 2-3 months are very, very problematic, and the shortage of workers and the impact on the capacity utilization, then the impact on the working capital investment. So all these parameters are impacted. So these are the basic parameters of the businesses. So if these parameters are impacted, then the sentiments of the investors and the producers are also severely impacted. So I believe this will have a major impact on the trajectory of growth scenario of these states if this continues. And I have already mentioned that this will have impact of at around 0.5% of GDP, which is huge, at around 15,000 crore to 20,000.
All right, Dr. Sharma, I understand that you have to be somewhere. Thank you very much for joining us on The Big Story this evening. Zorawar, coming back to you. Zorawar, we've seen a problem in discretionary spending that has been impacted in the past few quarters or so. The festive period wasn't great. Is that overhang now continuing because the pollution is such that people can't step out? So there is something else that's in place that's stopping consumers from stepping out?
Yeah, I'm not one to speculate, but you're right. We are seeing that downward trend, not just for this immediate period, but we've been seeing that since perhaps, I guess, the last quarter. I think it's got to do with the general consumption story, perhaps getting affected. In our particular case, usually restaurants tend to be, the final bastion of hope for human offline social engagement, right? It's you go there if you're happy, you go there if you're sad. You tend to enjoy your life's best moments at our restaurants and bars. And when they start seeing a downward trend, there could be perhaps an indication of something larger at play. Again, I can't speculate. I'm not an economist. I can only study my business. The growth that we were projecting for this quarter, the final quarter, ONJ, October, November, December, OND rather, we are not seeing that at the moment. October was quite possibly the worst month on record for our delivery business. And it's hard to explain. There are many reasons. But yes, there does seem to be a downward pressure on consumption as a whole for this particular, for this quarter and the last. I'm just hoping that there's some magical surprise waiting for us in December where people want to splurge, people want to go out, celebrate with friends and family, want to have a nice end of the year. People in December usually go in vacation mode. But if things go on this way, December alone will not be able to cover up for the losses of October and November. And remember, 25% of the business of the year comes in these 2 months, October, November, these 2 months, mainly November and December, but also in this quarter. So this quarter is the most important quarter, not just for restaurants in India, but restaurants around the world. And if there's a deflationary pressure, rather there's a pressure on consumption during this time, it can completely change the dynamic of your year. And that's the danger part. And what we don't seem to be getting a break. That's the problem. I mean, you have festivals and you have all of these other things. Remember, when you shut down construction, you're also shutting down the propensity to open new venues. And I totally understand that. And I would happily shut down the construction. We've done that at 2 of our spaces in Delhi. But there must be some respite given. I think we deserve that. We really need a listening ear right now, Nupur. And through your platform, I think if it reaches the right ears, there has to be some respite. Mall owners are not going to give us a cut on the rent, even though footfalls in the malls has halved. I'm not expecting mall owners to give us any respite there, but maybe something from the government side to help this industry, which is effectively an industry and an important one.
I wanted to understand, are the losses in footfall actually translating to people ordering food online? Is that happening at all, or you're not seeing that?
There is obviously an impact. If you're not going to step out, you got the propensity to order increases. So yes, we have seen about a 5 to 7% increase, but nothing great. Again, something not that I can very clearly explain. The platforms itself, and this is across India. This is not just, I'm not just talking about Delhi. In Delhi, there is an upward link. There's an upward trend that I'm seeing, especially when the AQs are crazy. When last week it was at 1,000 and above, we saw a bit of an increase. But, people are just saying, let's just eat at home. Let's just chill. Ghar ka khana khate hain, healthy hai. Matlab, to be honest, restaurant food, if cooked in a nice hygienic space, is just as healthy as home food. In fact, probably healthier, because there are norms that govern a restaurant. Norms don't govern a house's kitchen. At the same time, I think there is we don't like this over dependence on this part of the year, but it's just somewhere we're stuck. And we thought that the delivery will be able to kind of prop up the overall sales. There has been an uptick, but Nupur, I have not seen the kind of uptick that I was hoping for. So the decline in dine-in sales has not been alleviated or mitigated by the increase in delivery sales.
All right, Zorawar, do stay with us. We're going to play out a report that, we have from Delhi. Now, all businesses across Delhi are witnessing a slump in sales this year. This, of course, is mainly after the implementation of the GRAP 4 in the capital. And here's a report that Himanshu Shekhar has sent from Delhi's Meena Bazaar. Take a look.
The high pollution levels and the imposition of GRAP 4 has badly affected the trading business in Delhi. I am in Jama Masjid now. This is the Meena Bazaar, which is a very popular market here. And all shopkeepers here, from those who are selling shoes to those who are selling garments, they all are complaining that their business has come down in last few days because people are coming in much fewer numbers now. I have with me a group of shopkeepers who have been doing business in this Meena Bazaar market for many years now.
जी थोड़ा बहुत तो फर्क सभी जगह पड़ रहा है और पब्लिक कम ही निकल रही है।
तकरीबन 50 to 60% जो है कस्टमर नहीं है मार्केट के अंदर, ना होलसेल में ना रिटेल के अंदर है। इसी तरीके से क्योंकि हर आदमी निकलने में डर रहा है कि इन्फेक्शन है, पॉल्यूशन है, आंखों में जलन है, मिर्चें लग रही हैं उसी की वजह से। और हर लाइन के ऊपर, हर बिजनेस के ऊपर इस चीज़ का असर है। तो जब तक यही है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइन आई है, इसको लेकर सख्त इंस्ट्रक्शंस लागू करे गए हैं, तो उससे थोड़ा हो सकता है राहत मिले। अब ये तो धीरे धीरे ही हो सकता है, एकदम तो ये हो नहीं सकता।
We've been shooting here outside a bag and a trolley market here in Meena Bazaar, and I have not seen a single customer in almost half an hour now. आधे घंटे हो चुके हैं पर अभी तक कोई कस्टमर नहीं आया।
नहीं, एक भी कस्टमर नहीं आया अभी
तक नहीं आया।
नहीं।
तो ये कब से चल रहा है सर?
ये तो हफ्ते दिन से चल रहा है। इतवार से कम चल रहा है। इतवार में कुछ ज़्यादा थे, आज तो फिर भी 1-2 दिन से सही है, लेकिन इतवार में कुछ 2 दिन से कम हुआ है थोड़ा।
लेकिन 2 दिन पहले बिल्कुल ही
बहुत था, 2 दिन पहले बहुत था, नज़ारा पूरा अंधेरा जैसे था।
All right, Zorawar, coming back to you, earlier on you were mentioning that you would like the government to step in. There has, of course, been a demand from, restaurants and hotels that they now be given the industry status. That hasn't happened. But what is it in terms of specifics that you'd like the government to look at right now?
Well,
in terms of policy?
Yeah, there are many, many things. Well, firstly, like you said, industry status. I think that's, come on, 10 million people directly employed and at least another 10 million indirectly employed through ancillary agencies are just there in the food and the restaurant and the hotel sector. And these are a lot of people. These are people that, are adding significant value. Like I said, between 2 and 3% of the country's GDP is added. So industry status, a minister perhaps, somebody whose ear we have at all times. There are just so many significant problems. One of the key things that I keep talking about is the fact that the restaurant industry has not been granted input tax credit for GST, whereas practically every other industry has it. Our industry, for some reason, does not have it, and that's a very big impact. It affects every single stakeholder in this entire equation. It affects restaurants naturally because we end up all our rents and our other costs are 18% more expensive. It is more expensive for the consumer because we have to charge more because we have to recover those costs somehow. It is more expensive. It's bad for the employees because fewer restaurants are opening because the construction of a new restaurant is now 18% more expensive. The exchequer suffers because fewer sales, fewer new restaurants. As a result, the tax collections are lower. So every single member or stakeholder in this equation is suffering as a result of lack of GST input tax credit. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to restore that for us. It goes against the grain of the ITC, of the GST itself, to not have ITC for one industry. And we've been asking about it, and we're hoping that the government is going to take cognizance of this because it's been many years now. You look at the compounded annual growth rate of the restaurant industry in 2017, before the GST regime came about, it was 21%. Today, it's at 12 or 13%. So it's almost halved. And it's halved because people are not being able to make money. They're not able to keep their necks above water. It's anyway a very high morbidity rate business. 90% of all restaurants in the world shut down within the first year and 96% within 18 months. And India is no different. And this is people's hard work. So I think if GST input tax credit can be restored, it can be the one big shot in the arm required to keep this necessary industry alive. Industry status, GST input tax credit, one single room, one single window for licensing. I mean, you have to get 32 licenses to open a restaurant. It's easier to get a gun license than to get a restaurant liquor license. And I think that needs to just change. This is not an industry of desire. This is an industry of need. So I think there's just a lot of things, but the two primary things, Nupur, I would say, is we need input tax credit and we need industry status with a minister that can listen to our trials and tribulations and help alleviate them.
All right, Zorawar, we really appreciate you joining us on The Big Story this evening. Thank you very much for coming by. Let's go back and take a look at what's happening in Delhi now. The renowned Karol Bagh market in Delhi is also facing a decline in sales. And we have a report from the market. Just take a look at what people doing business over there are talking about.
मैं इस वक्त दिल्ली के करोल बाग के गफ्फार मार्केट में हूँ। आमतौर पर यहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा भीड़ होती है। मोबाइल का सबसे बड़ा बाजार है दिल्ली का, लेकिन यहाँ पर दुकानों में अब आप देख सकते हैं ग्राहक नहीं है और ग्राहकों की संख्या लगातार पिछले कुछ दिनों में काफ़ी घट गई है और इसकी सीधे वजह है प्रदूषण, जिसकी वजह से लोग कम निकल रहे हैं। अपना शुभ नाम बताएं।
जी, राजेश कुमार।
राजेश जी, पिछले 3-4 दिन से क्या पैटर्न है यहाँ पर ग्राहकों?
सर, मार्केट काफ़ी खाली चल रही है क्योंकि पोल्यूशन काफ़ी बढ़ गया है, तो इस वजह से कस्टमर भी इतने घर से निकल नहीं पा रहे हैं।
घर से निकल
नहीं पा रहे हैं, तो इसलिए क्योंकि लोगों को, बुजुर्ग लोग भी आते हैं, बच्चे भी आते हैं, सबको दिक्कत होती है, तो इसलिए आ नहीं रहे मार्केट, इस वजह से काफ़ी खाली चल रही है।
तो बिजनेस कितना कम हुआ है 3-4 दिन में?
बिजनेस सर ये मान लीजिए कि अगर 100% होता तो 20% पे ही आ गया है।
सबसे ज़्यादा काम पे असर पड़ा है इसमें, और कस्टमर बिल्कुल नहीं है। दुकानें आप देख रहे हैं सारी खाली पड़ी है, और मैं भी इतना दूर से आता हूँ गाजियाबाद से, हमें ही इतना दिक्कत है, हम खुद ही, हमारी तबीयत ख़राब हो रही है पोल्यूशन के चक्कर में, हम खुद मेडिसिन लेके यहाँ पे आ रहे हैं, तो कस्टमर भी इसी चक्कर में नहीं आ रहे हैं यहाँ।
जब से पोल्यूशन का केस हुआ तब से काम में तो बिल्कुल ही बहुत स्लो डाउन है जो है, बस आए और टाइम पास वाली बात है, वो कस्टमर नहीं है।
तो यही तस्वीर दिल्ली के अलग अलग इलाकों में, बाजारों में दिखाई देती है, और बहुत साफ है कि ग्रैब 4 लगने के बाद एक तरफ जहां सख्ती बरती गई है, कच्चा माल, तैयार माल दुकानों तक नहीं पहुंच रहा है, और दूसरी तरफ प्रदूषण के डर से लोग भी अब घरों से बहुत कम बाहर निकल रहे हैं, और इसका सीधा असर दिल्ली की अर्थव्यवस्था पर, दिल्ली में कारोबार पर हर तरफ दिखाई दे रहा है।
But Delhi's poor air quality has hit the market footfall, but there is one business which has benefited, and that is of air purifiers. The affordability, however, of these purifiers remains a concern. Our NDTV colleague Himanshu also spoke to some of the sellers who are selling air purifiers. Listen in to what they told him.
मैं इस वक्त दिल्ली के गफ्फार मार्केट में हूँ। मेरे साथ विपिन कुमार जी हैं, जिनकी ये शॉप है। मैं देख रहा हूँ बहुत तरह के एयर प्यूरीफायर आपने रखे हैं यहाँ पर। एयर प्यूरीफायर की बिक्री बढ़ी है पिछले कुछ दिनों?
हाँ, पिछले एक हफ्ते से काफ़ी बढ़ गई है इसकी बिक्री, और सेल भी है, पर हर बंदा खरीदने आता है, मैक्सिमम लोग वापस चले जाते हैं क्योंकि इसकी प्राइसिंग बहुत ज़्यादा हाई है, और कुछ अफोर्डेबल प्राइसिंग में हो तो हर बंदा खरीद सके, क्योंकि ये नीड्स सबके लिए, एक के लिए तो है नहीं, जो खरीद सकता है उसके लिए, बाकी गरीब आदमी के लिए भी तो होनी चाहिए ना।
तो ये जो एयर प्यूरीफायर लगा है, इसकी कितनी कीमत है?
ये लगभग 10,000 के करीब है फिलिप्स का,
और इसमें छोटे वाले भी हैं?
ये छोटे वाला है लगभग 7,000 के करीब है, और लगभग 5,000 से नीचे तो कुछ है ही नहीं ना। वो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, जो पोल्यूशन को ख़त्म करने का कुछ सिस्टम बनाना चाहिए ना, और इसके लिए 100% ये पोल्यूशन जो है अपना, इसका रीज़न यही है ट्रांसपोर्ट। 15 मिनट का सफ़र 1-1 घंटे में लोग करेंगे तो सर जी पोल्यूशन तो ऐसा होगा ही होगा, पोल्यूशन ही पोल्यूशन बढ़ता जाएगा, पोल्यूशन बढ़ता जाएगा।
Well, in fact, that's all we have time for on the big story this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. But do stay with us on NDTV Profit as we bring you more.